understand on the personal front, you are a mother of two children, and I understand your spouse is a leading faculty member and researcher at the IIT Delhi. I also understand you have been an extremely caring and loving daughter to your parents who needed special attention and care. So, the thought that comes to mind is, and what I want to check with you is, have you found it challenging to play the multiple roles you do on the family front itself, besides, of course, your professional commitments? And how have you managed to find satisfaction on both home and work fronts?
Sudhir, your question, really makes me reflect because I've been thinking about this also, and I was thinking that and this issue, what we call private roots of public action. I think it's the story that begins for each of us before we enter the workplace.
Okay.
And that's very important to recognize, I think, when we're talking about women or any communities or groups that have been pushed back in particular ways historically, because they are just who they are. So, unlike many of my colleagues, friends, and youngsters I've worked with, I've been privileged on that front. But there's a lot of lessons I draw from it. So, for example, my family, my parents have fought these battles personally, my mother and father, my father in law and mother in law. So, one generation earlier. So I know that they actually have struggled with this. Mm-hmm. So I was privileged to have borne the fruits of their struggle to make kind of strategic life choices, such as marrying who I want to, working or not, those issues, without being unencumbered. But I'm deeply aware that there are struggles of opposition that my own mother and my own mother in law have faced as people because they were women. So that is very important, I think, to see where each person is coming from. And the second is that my high school and formative years were in the Soviet Union. So when I was in school in India and I went to the Soviet Union, we were not exposed to all these ideas. We just had things like, I want to work with animals and stuff like that. You know how it is. But how I experienced the narrative around equality between genders, the role of class, the role of religion, etc., in the Soviet Union in my school, when I came back to college in India, I was exposed in a very different way. So it helped me. I decided to come back because I suddenly realized, hey, I hadn't realized what was happening in my own country because I was never given that lens. I was lucky to have been to married a man who was school with me, who had been brought up by a mother and father with similar backgrounds. They renounced the Brahminical thread and worked for the equality of women, were freedom fighters. My mother-in-law actually was a child bride, divorced her husband, born in 1922, and went on to get married and participate. So I was lucky to have the fruits of that. But I know what struggle she went through. But she trained her son very well. So he is very responsible. We share everything, all jobs, and we could make choices within our relevant societies that we were supported. But I know that everybody can't. So most of the blocks that I faced were from around me in the system because my own relevant social network had full support for anything that I wanted to do, but being empathetic to others who didn't have this intergenerationally and didn't have woke families, don't have social settings that help you to fly. That's what I really, understood. And I hope I can be empathetic to it and that I can live a congruent life within my family and in my public life and learn to navigate myself rather than, to be dependent on others. So that is why I'm very, very grateful. Of course, my main block to me, myself, is my own capabilities and then the system in which we function.